highly distinguished panel. We have House members Bill Owens, he's Democrat from New York, and Steve Scalise, Republican from Louisiana. Also, CNBC contributor John Kudlow of Again Capital, oil trader Anthony Grisanti, president of GRZ Energy, and Dave Goldman, he's the former head of fixed income research at the Bank of America. Before I begin, I spoke earlier with Jack Gerard, president and CEO of the American Petroleum Institute. I want to get the industry's point of view, and I asked him, why now? Please take a listen.
That's already being questioned by both Democrats and Republicans here in Washington, wondering why did they choose now? It appears to be a short-term fix to a long-term problem. They have not fundamentally addressed the energy issue, and knowing that our economy is struggling, we're all desirous to get it back on track, but we've got to deal with energy. We should have had an announcement today that we're going to open up U.S. energy sources. We're going to produce them with Americans for the benefit of all Americans, create some jobs, generate revenue to the federal government. I would have hoped that would have been our announcement today. That's a long-term solution, not a short-term reaction.
All right, there you have Jack Gerard from the petroleum industry's point of view. Representative Bill Owens, welcome to the show. I want to ask you this. The question of why now is so intriguing. Why didn't we do it back when the Libyan war was raging in March and April when it first hit? Is this aimed because we have a national economic emergency, because we have a national petroleum emergency, or because Team Obama has a re-election emergency, Mr. Owen?
Well, I think clearly this is an attempt to make sure that we're pushing the market down at the right time. I think this was a timing issue. It's been commented on by a number of folks in the industry that what we're really doing is taking advantage of declining prices and pushing them further down. I think we do want to make sure that we get the economy back on track. And I agree that this is a short-term issue, but we have to have a long-term plan, and those two things need to work in sync and work together. So I think it's very important that the president did this. I think it was a smart move, and I think it's going to continue to push prices down.
All right, let me go to Steve Scalise. I want to get your same take. Is this a national emergency for petroleum? Is it going to solve our economic problems? Is this really a political effort to help the president's re-elect campaign? His polls are doing very badly.
Well, first, it's an admission that the president has been wrong on the fact that he always used to say that supply doesn't affect price. Well, of course it does. And the fact that he's raiding the Strategic Petroleum Reserve shows that. But it also shows he'll do anything to block American energy production, because the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is there for national emergencies. It's not there because the president needs political cover, because the American people are fed up with his failed energy policy that's cost us thousands of jobs and that's led to skyrocketing prices at the pump.
Mr. Owen, did you have a comment on that?
I do. I think it's very important that we understand that we do have an emergency. Certainly we do in my district. I have farmers who are paying exorbitant prices for fuel. I have people who drive hours to work every day. This is a real emergency. It's the thing that people talk to me about most. They either talk to me about jobs or they talk to me about
American energy. Well, create more American energy here at home. We've got billions of barrels in known reserves that the president has shut off. He won't let us go get American energy.
I don't think that's accurate.
Jobs.
In fact, if you look at what's going on, many of the leases are now dormant throughout the United States. So the oil companies are not reaching out and getting it done themselves.
All right, let me just bring in some of the others. I appreciate the debate, and I want you to keep on debating. But I want to ask Anthony. I want to go to you first. Some people are saying that this was a brilliant move, seriously, a brilliant move by Team Obama. By coming in now, as prices had already fallen 15%, they absolutely crunched down speculators and will make this stick. Was it a genius move, to quote our own John Malloy? What do you think?
I don't think it was a genius move at all. I think, it's a very short-term solution to what he said, a long-term problem. This will affect prices for the next few weeks, Larry, but then once again, we have the same problems that we've always had here in this country. We don't produce enough of our own energy.
But you're running for the hills. You're fearful the oil price may keep on falling.
Not at all. Right? I make as much money going short the market as long, so it really doesn't matter to me whatsoever. No, actually, I'm flat right now.
You're flat.
What happened with oil? Yep, absolutely. I've been calling it short since $112, and I wonder why the president didn't release the oil when it was $112, and why he waited till now.
Larry, come on. I mean, this is beyond the pale to me at times. To say this is the Obama administration's sole idea is just belies what happens here. The IEA did a coordinated coordinated release from countries around the world. And it came at the great time. The oil prices have been falling. We've leaned on it. And to say there's not an acute situation going on here is also, I think, bunk. That we have 1.5 million barrels of very precious Libyan crude oil off the market, staying off the market.
All you're really
North
saying
Sea
is that
crude, too.
Where's the demand for
Nigerian
that crude oil?
We need these barrels on the market. They're doing it for the next 30 days. It's 2 million barrels a day.
Look, you're
Saudi
saying,
Arabia is behind it and blessing it. This is much needed, and it's a great
The
shot in the
European
arm.
governments
David,
and Obama all agreed on a Keynesian demand management maneuver, which is going to fail, just like the $800 billion fiscal stimulus failed.
Why is it going to fail?
And just like QE1 and QE2 failed, because this is not a Keynesian demand side problem. The reason that we don't have jobs and consumers don't spend is because Obama has destroyed the job machine through Obamacare, regulation, and the massive federal budget deficits.
The first thing we need is lower gasoline prices. The first thing we need is lower gasoline prices, and this will deliver lower gasoline prices, lower diesel fuel prices. The whole world's on board with this, not just the Obama administration.
The stock market was right about this, and you're wrong about it. The stock market dumped all over this because it was obvious that it was a
the stock market is cratering because of the bad economic data points that we've been getting. That's why the oil market's been coming down, and that's why we're putting more oil on the market to solve and make sure that we don't have a big hiccup, another price spike up for no good reason.
But the reason the economy is failing is because the job machine's broken, and that's why oil prices already were going down. So we got another $3 or $4, another 2 or 3% on top of the 20% drop. If you think that's going to turn the economy around, then you ought to apply for a job in the Obama administration.
Hang on a second. I want to go to the two House members again. Mr. Owen, let me go to you. One of the reasons for the sputtering economy is surely the oil price spike and the gasoline price spike. Mr. Owen, if in fact, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, if this works, and maybe the Federal Reserve's going to have a more stable dollar in the months ahead. If this works, Mr. Owen, what are your expectations for the economy? Do you think this is pulling a rabbit out of the hat and might really succeed?
No, I think it's likely to succeed. I think if we see oil prices going down, prices at the pump going down, it's going to stimulate the summer vacation market. It's going to stimulate the movement of goods will be cheaper, obviously, if you're paying less to truck your goods around the country. That's very important. It's going to make it better for my farmers, for my small businesses in my community. These are the things that really count. And I think we're going to see a declining price structure. We saw this, both President Bushes did this. We saw President Clinton do this. This is a process that's happened a number of times, and the price decrease has ranged from 9% to 33%. So this is a tactic that clearly works, and I think it was properly timed by the Obama administration to get the biggest bang for the buck.
Mr. Scalise, very important. Mr. Scalise, do you disagree with Mr. Owen's logic on the economic benefits of falling oil prices, which could drop, he says, up to 33%? That'd probably get it down to about $80 a barrel. That'd probably bring gasoline prices down $3.50, maybe $3.25. Do you think that? Why is his logic wrong?
Well, first of all, if you just look at the sugar high that'll be generated by this raid on the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, this doesn't even cover 2 days of the amount of oil that the American people use. So 2 days from now, they've wiped out the oil that he's gone and raided from Spro. And then what's next? He still won't let us drill in the Gulf of Mexico. He still won't let people drill up in Alaska, where they've got 1 million barrels a day they could bring online today, and his EPA is blocking that. He still won't even come to an agreement with Canada. Canada right now wants to send us 1.3 million barrels per day of oil from Canada down into the United States. That would create 20,000 American jobs, and the president's blocking that too.
Those are all long-term solutions.
You start that today, and you number one, you got the speculators' ability to jack up the price, but then you put in the pipeline over 3 million, just with those three processes there, 3 million barrels a day of American oil that we produce for years to come. That's thousands of American jobs, and it's oil that we're not bringing in from these Middle Eastern countries who don't like us. But the president's blocking all of that, so he wants to go and raid our national savings account of oil.
Anthony, let me hang on one second. I want to come back to this. My argument here is that we thought, but some people hoped there'd be more stimulus from QE3 from the Fed. The Fed said no. That's probably going to help the U.S. dollar. But the stimulus from QE3 is coming through the energy market, through the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Now, why isn't that good for the economy? Short run, it's good for the long run. We can debate that. that, but we can debate anything in the long run. Short run, why isn't it good for the economy?
Oh, no, absolutely. Lower oil prices are definitely good for the economy, but what you're doing is it's a false good for the economy. It's not addressing the problems that are making this economy bad. When you had QE2, you're pumping tons of money into the market. It's making our dollar cheaper, and that's causing higher oil prices.
So that was bad.
Exactly.
Now, what if that trade reverses? What I'm saying is,
Larry, it's not big enough.
I'm with. All right, hang on a sec. Just
it's certainly big enough. It's filling the gap. It's filling the gap. The disruption gap that we're experiencing right now. It's exactly what it's for.
Hang on, gentlemen. You can beat me down, but what I'm saying is Bernanke did the right thing with no QE3. There's no more new money creation for the foreseeable future. Instead, the stimulus is coming from this surprise increase in the oil reserves. All right, John Kudlow, I want to say the benefit of the doubt. Why can't this be good for the economy even in the next 6 months?
For a very simple reason,
excellent
Larry.
For the economy, Larry.
John first, then David. Go ahead, John.
Larry, it's excellent for the economy. It's exactly what we need. This break at the pump will boost consumer confidence. It'll boost consumer sentiment. It's exactly what we need, and it's filling the gap. This is exactly what the SPR was made for. We have about 2 million barrels offline, for not only from Libya, but Nigeria and North Sea.
But Mr. Scalise disagrees with that. Congressman Scalise, you disagree. This is not what SPRO was made for. Is that what you're saying, Congressman?
That's right. It's there for national disasters and emergencies. And if you look at this, this is like if somebody's unemployed and they've got a job offer, but they turn down the job offer because they can still go raid their kid's college fund. Well, you might be okay for the next couple of days, but the problem is you've raided your kid's college fund. That's not responsible.
I don't know how you
They're doing this for 30 days.
If we're only
30 days
taking 4% out.
Mr. Owen, you first, then Dave Goldman, then we got to get out. Go ahead, Congressman Owen.
I can't see how you call this a raid when you're only taking 4% out of the Petroleum Reserve. That just simply doesn't make sense. There's no doubt that this is going to be a positive impact, and I can tell you the people in my district are going to be very pleased when they see their prices falling. And this clearly was a very smart move by the administration to push down prices.
And well-timed.
And extremely well-timed.
Dave Goldman, I'm going to give you the last word, because whether this is good use of the strategic reserve is up to debate. Whether this has a long-term impact, we could debate that. But, David, in the short run, doesn't this afford the U.S. consumer a big, fat tax cut from lower fuel prices?
It's marginal. We had a 15% drop in oil prices, Larry, because people expected the economy to stop growing. Now we have another 5% drop, or 4%, on the strength of this announcement, which is, I think, all we get out of that. We are in a deflationary mode because the credit creation mechanism is broken, and credit to private individuals and private corporations is shrinking. And the idea that we're going to fix deflation by cutting prices is completely perverse.
I got to leave it there. You're all terrific stuff. House members Bill Owens and Steve Scalise, I can't thank you enough. John Kudlow, Anthony Crisanti, and David Goldman, you're all terrific. So,
thank you.